Good morning and welcome along to episode 9 of our Dundee United live stream series. It's our first one post-Christmas as well, so Merry Christmas. I hope you all had a good festive period and I hope you're all back and ready for this morning's tale, because you know what we're starting with. We said it on Tuesday night, the first thing is going to be Celtic in the League Cup final, a chance to win the first trophy of the season, a chance for a massive moment. So if you're looking forward to that and you are enjoying the series so far, please do put a thumbs up on it. Thank you for everyone waiting already as well. It does make such a difference. And I hope you're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good one. Hell Gaming, good morning. Thank you for popping along as always. Do appreciate your support with it. And thank you to all of those who are waiting. I can see 5 or 6 of you there before we started. So it does make a difference. I do appreciate you being here. I'm a little bit tired today, so it might be slightly shorter than normal, and I might be talking slightly slower than normal. But either way, let me know in the comments how you're getting on. Let me know how your Christmas was, how your team got on yesterday, if they played. I know our fixtures were called off across the country on Boxing Day, but a lot of others still took place. So let me know how they went. I'm just going to give people a couple of minutes to come in before we go through to the cup final, because I know that's the big moment today. And exactly, we're playing the same opponent as we played in the head coach final with Dundee United's rivals yesterday, which is bizarre. You'll have to excuse me, my chair's collapsing again, unfortunately. Semi-inflated balloon on the way. I'll take that. It's better than no balloon, isn't it? Let me catch up with the chat quickly, sorry. Carl, thank you for coming along as well. So I'm kind of hoping that this Celtic game can be a bit like the head coach one, where we hung in the game. It's going to have to be a defensive display. It's going to have to be backs to the wall. And you can see from the team news there, I don't know if you can see it that clearly. Unfortunately, possibly our 2 best rated players are out today, or doubtful. Leandro Fuchs is out with a pulled calf muscle, and Mark McNulty doubtful with pulled knee ligaments. Knee ligaments even, sorry. So that's going to be the difficulty for us. I'm not quite sure how we're going to get on with that. I'm sort of hoping more than anything, to be brutally honest. Gaming, Wrexham wasn't on due to Macclesfield. Yeah, there's a few like that. There were so many games off. League One in particular was the worst, wasn't it? There were loads of games off in that one. So it is a bit of a shame, but at least we got some football. BBC had Premier League football, which was great. A lot of the Sky Sports games today are on Sky One, so if you've got normal TV, you can watch it, which will be good for me as well. So there's plenty of positives. We're up to double figures, just a couple of minutes in. Thank you all for your support. Please chuck a thumbs up on it. Come and get involved in the chat as we start today with Celtic v Dundee United. The League Cup final. Neil Lennon's still in charge at Celtic. And actually, the Scottish title race is down to the wire. They're 6 points behind Rangers with 2 games in hand. Rangers have got the better goal difference, and when we've played them, they've been the better side. But they must be dropping silly points somewhere or losing all the old firms. I wonder which it is. Let's go and have a quick look. So in terms of the Premiership, we know they went out early in Europe as well, which is a shame for Scotland, but did help them. I'm just looking at where their defeats are. Away to Motherwell, away to St Mirren, drew at home to Ross County, and then drew 2 Celtic games. So it's actually the other sides they're dropping points against, and the 2 of them have barely dropped anything. Celtic obviously dropped most of their points against us. Charlie, how many dessert platters have you eaten now? None today. Only 1 standard pastry for breakfast. Yeah, Tom, I did say the same in the Discord yesterday. I said, where's all the Arteta chat now? But you were losing your faith as well, so don't go on your high horse now. Only 1 win in like 10, still going down. Oh dear. Right, I'm going to leave it now. We're going to the Scottish League Cup final. We've got some decisions to make, so that will take a couple of minutes as well. Thank you to everyone that's popping in. Come and get involved in the chat. Come and chuck a thumbs up on the video. The finance is looking pretty poor, but we've got a big game. So let's skip ahead to the fixtures, and you'll see what I mean about the selection problems. So we've had some recommendations. We're going to make some adjustments to the team as well. So they're telling us to take McNulty out. We've tried to get him in our 11 to start with. It's not actually full at Hampden. 44,000. That seems bizarre. But look, Mark McNulty is nearly fit. His injury risk is low. So I'm kind of hoping that he won't be able to make it worse. And he's so important. And against Celtic, he scored in both the games. I feel like we have to do it. The other one, sorry, is Fuchs, so I've left out. I think risking 2 of your subs that way is a bit silly. So he's going to stay out, and Glenn Ray's a natural replacement. So I'm not so worried about that one. Let's take the extra 2 subs out and see what we can put on the bench. So the starting 11, who do I go with at right back? Because Pearson, he played the last game against Hibs and he was really good. And he's a centre-half as well, which means that he's got that sort of defensive attribute playing against the likes of Celtic. Favourite Christmas present this year, Charlie? Good question. Oh, I'm trying to think. I've got a really good cricket cup, which is perfect for drinking. I'll bring it for Tuesday's live stream. I'm trying to have a look round at them. I haven't put them away yet, as you might be able to tell. I'll come back to you on that one. Craig, did Arsenal play? Don't be silly. Or did Chelsea hand it to them on a plate? I think you're being ambitious. You can't say that it's Arsenal's fault when they lose it and the opposition's fault when they win it. As poor as Chelsea were, Arsenal were good. The youngsters, I'm hoping he've just played a lot of them, to be honest. That's why they did so well in the Europa League. Most of them played. But it is quite ironic, isn't it? I take the example of Ollie compared to Lampard. Ollie, all season it's been Ollie out after every game. Even after the draw against Everton at the weekend. Not Everton, sorry. Who did they draw against? The draw against, away from home, Leicester, sorry. The draw away at Leicester. There were Ollie out things on social media. And they were from United fans. And they're right up there at the top. They're flying ahead of Chelsea, who had a scintillating start to the season. It just shows that the media can spin it, really. Knezov, hello from Croatia. Thank you for coming in. Do appreciate it. They probably will be thinking Lampard out. Oh, I'm sure it won't take long. Yeah, I had a decent Christmas. Obviously, it's not quite as grand as it would normally be, and there wasn't any Boxing Day football to go to. But it was quite a lazy one. Lots of football in bed yesterday and a bit of Big Bash cricket in the morning. So it all added up quite nicely. And the snooker's back in the new year as well. Yeah, Tom Martinelli being back. I think, and I'm going to say this now, if Martinelli had not got a long injury and had stayed fit all of last year, I don't think Aubameyang would have got a new contract the way Arsenal work. Not saying it's the right decision. I'm saying that's what would have happened in my opinion. Smith Rowe looks excellent. He's really turned into a Premier League player. He was good at Huddersfield last year, to be fair. They'll win the league with that. Yeah, possibly. Thoughts on the Luton game yesterday? The pitch was not Championship standard. It was appalling. Luton deserved probably to nick a point. There was a stonewall penalty that wasn't given, and I'm not one that often says that. So, yeah, there was a definite penalty in the game. But otherwise, it's sloppy goals. A set piece and then a counter-attack where there were a couple of opportunities to take one for the team, should we say. The league is starting to take shape now, and Arsenal will join the rest of the pack. The problem they've got is that Everton and Leicester are staying up there as well. It was against Reading, El Gaming. Chelsea fans just as bad as Arsenal fans. I don't like to make stereotypes across the fan base, but obviously the ones they get judged on are the few that a lot of them hate, so you can't really argue, can you? But let's have a look at this cup final team. I'm going to put a couple of others on the bench. I'm just trying to do it sensibly, but I can't really find an option. So I'm going to take the keeper off. I know that's a massive gamble, but I'm going to do it. Duffy's back to fitness, but he's not playing that well. Though Bolton's been poor in recent matches. Although he was only against Hibs. He was alright before that. So that's what we're going for. Let's stick with it. If we think for too long, we're going to make silly changes. Is Segrest in goal, Pearson covering at right back, Mengi, Reynolds and Mitchell the rest of the back four. Of course, you can see Pearson and Ray in the final Luton episode today at midday. It's safe to say that a few of you enjoyed the meltdowns in those episodes, I think. Midfield four, Bolton, Ray, O'Reilly and Sporrell, and Shankland and McNulty up front. We're going to drop to balanced when we get into it. We're going to hope that Mark McNulty doesn't get a big injury. See if we can sneak a winner as well. Making compilations for Hudson-Odoi for his 45 minutes when they lost 3-1. He did make a difference when they came on, but there we go. Charlie, by take one for the team, do you mean Craig Savage on PES 2? Yes, I do. Nezov, what's your best tactic in FM? I don't know if I have a best tactic. It's sort of, as you've seen across the series on the channel really, every series I end up with near enough a different tactic because I fit around the players rather than saying, this is how I play and you're going to do it as well. What I would do is rule out anything with a back three, and the Luton series is proof of that yet again. So that's probably my only rule, is normally I try to look for a back four tactic. Aside from that, I don't really have any rules when I come into a club. If it's non-league, lower league, I'll normally play a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-4. If it's a more structured, if it's at the top sort of level or at this level, we'll play a bit more positive. We can play any tactic really, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. But yeah, I guess I probably end up using 4-4-2 slightly more because we're in non-league a lot more. But I'm happy to work around the squad. I'm not sort of, we have to do it this way. So let's go and get into the game. We've dropped to balanced. We're going to try and win the League Cup final. And Callum McGregor's out for Celtic. They're missing some big ones as well. So at Hampden, it's a massive opportunity. Let's see if we can do it. Thank you for everyone joining in as well. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. You're just in time for the Scottish League Cup final. As Celtic are straight on the front foot. Corner from Frimpong. Turnbull in. Off the line not once but twice. And it's behind for another corner. Let's just see this one out and then I'll catch up with the chat. Frimpong's going to swing it in to the back post to Edwards. Only took 3.5 minutes. Oh, it's not going to go as well or be as tight as the game in the head coach yesterday. And we're a bit earlier in our journey here. We have to accept that. It's our first year as a manager. But that's a really poor goal to concede. And from the set pieces, we've been appalling. So it looks like it's going to be a Celtic win here. United fans, some of them are just as bad. Every fan base has them. Every fan base has a small group of idiots who are fickle, who don't understand a longer term plan, who can't accept defeat, which is the main part of football. But there's a few in every fan base. Yeah, Craig said it. All fans are. There's a sensible and a stupid fan base from each club. Free Gold, welcome along. Thank you for joining in the live stream. Do appreciate it. Thank you for watching the episodes as well. Good to see so many comments in the last few days as we've had some exciting action. Thoughts on the man behind the wall? Oh, can we stop that with the man lying down behind the wall? There's no need. Just jump or don't jump. It works for years. It doesn't have to change now. I just wonder how long before something ridiculous happens with that. But we'll wait and see. Pearson puts the ball in. Oh, that's a poor one. I got excited for nothing there. L Gaming, how's the Wrexham save going? Free Gold. Interesting. Literally the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Couldn't agree more, Craig. It's not often we agree on those. Heard about the takeover Wrexham news. They can't do it till mid-January due to restrictions. Oh, we've scored! Shankland's nicked one on the counter. Yeah, I did see the Wrexham news. I'm a little bit... It's a little bit sad because there's a lot of anticipation about, but the longer it goes, the better it'll be. And they'll still arrange for the funding before that if they need to. But with our only shot on target, we've got back on terms. It's a brilliant half. And it's 1-1 at the break. And maybe it is going to be like the head coach yesterday, where we stay in it and it's tight. It'll be interesting. Thank you for everyone's support on that as well. Please do check it out if you haven't. It's been an absolute cracker. The head coach this year has been stunning. Let me catch up with the chat quickly. Anyone else not touching a particular drink for a while? Well, Tom, it was all of them before for me and it stayed the same. Soft drinks only. Craig, it's cup final day and we've been rejected again. If you tell me a way you can do commentary on the live stream, I'd quite like you to come and join me because I'm knackered this morning. If you could do a bit of the commentary for me, it'd be great. But I'm not quite sure of the way to do it yet. I'm not technically good enough. Charlie's having a laugh again. You always play with 4-2-3-1. See, I used to. I then went through a little spell of 4-3-1-2. But then, like, back right at the start, it used to be 4-4-2. FM08, I ended up playing a diamond because I was Luton. And that summer, they signed about 10 over 30s. Like, good EFL players who are well past their prime. And Litai was unavailable on a free from Everton. The former Everton centre midfielder, the Chinese one. And we signed him and he played at the base of a diamond. And that worked a treat. But it was a holding midfielder, attacking midfielder and 2 wingers. Rather than a narrow diamond. Let's catch up again. 3 goal. We played another friendly. 0-0 versus Bangor City. But much higher expected goals. Usually 4-3-3 formation with a defensive midfielder. So based on my experience last year, as that goal's been disallowed for Aya, I always found it a little bit difficult with the holding midfielder. They played really well in terms of match rating, but I found it hard to get the number of goals or the number of chances in. That was the only thing I would say on that one. The man behind the wall. So free kicks quite often in the Premier League when there's a player laying down behind the wall. It seems to happen so often now. We've only had one shot on target. I think we're going to have to give McNulty up, aren't we? Mark McNulty will come off. He's done all right. Nicky Clark on for him. He's apprehensive. So, in fact, let's bring Chalmers on. There's no difference, really. Bit more pace, if anything. Bolton will come off for Michael Duffy. And I'm not sure what else to do, really. Maybe O'Reilly for Houghton. Doesn't really weaken the team a great deal. And we try and hold on. We just need Carlton Morris up front. Hopefully Shanklin can be that for us. What food did you have on Christmas Day? I burnt a parsnip. So we got a delivery from a place called Muscle Food. We got 3 meats. So turkey, beef, gammon we always have. And all the trimmings. The parsnips always get burnt in this household as well. So don't feel alone there. Chalmers has got himself in. It's a good save by Barkas. And it was almost at the same point as yesterday's head coach where things came to life. I thought we might have it again. The corner's headed away. I tell you what, a centre-half, Reynolds has had a shocking game. I don't know what's caused it either. Sporrell back to Houghton. Can we create one more chance? Glenn Ray. To Duffy. Houghton, come on, that's a foul. Let's get another man on for it. I'm pretty sure there's 5 subs still, despite the 7-man bench. So Reynolds swaps with Pearson, and he's replaced by Liam Smith. I mean, Tyrick Mitchell's had a bad game. He's a key component of my Palace save off camera, but he's not doing it here. I'm tempted to replace Ray, but I don't think it's the right move. I think I'm just doing it for the sake of it, so I'm not gonna. We're not seeing the set piece though, and we are going to either extra time or penalties. Extra time it will be for the League Cup final. Now we can't do as much work in January. Well, we are, obviously for me it doesn't change, so unfortunately it doesn't affect me here. I was going to ask about food. Oh yeah, too much. Always too much. You'll notice by the end of sort of December, my face will be about half a stone heavier than normal. And then we'll go back to normal by the end of January. Craig available. Well, we're recording straight after this, aren't we? So I better save my voice for it. Thoughts on the Cavani things. Everton fans seem to have forgot what Pickford did. Yeah, you're always going to do it if it's your fan base, aren't you? You're going to get behind them. So I understand it, but again, it's another example of fickle fans. And you know, for what Pickford did, there were plenty of Liverpool players in the previous derbies who have done it, including Steven Gerrard and Dirk Kuyt. So, no, everyone's done it. Anyone delighted that Christmas songs are over? Yes, definitely. I am. I'm against El Gaming on this one, I'm afraid. 4-3-2-1 looks like a Christmas tree. It's nice to be festive. I don't think I've ever played that tactic. That's the one I don't think I've ever played, with 3 centre midfielders and 2 attacking mids ahead of them. I generally like width too much, unless it's a 4th. If I'm not playing width, I'm doing it to get 2 up front normally, if you know what I mean. So either I'm playing front 2, or I'm playing 2 wide men's behind the striker. It seems, to me, the concept doesn't work in my brain if you have 1 striker, but then no wide men with them. It doesn't work. Right, we've been absolutely pasted in this game, but we're doing well. We're in the match. It's 1-1. We're going to extra time. It's probably going to affect our league form because we've not got quite a stronger squad. And do you know what? Sporrell's absolutely knackered, as is Glenn Ray. So I'm going to have to make the change now. It's going to be Callum Butcher. I'm just waiting for this highlight as Dembele loses out in the air. Ray gets there, to be fair. One of his last actions this will be. Finds Shankland. Up to Chalmers, who's in. Not a natural striker by any means, but he puts that away pretty well. He's taken my voice away from me. Logan Chalmers with a brilliant finish. It's happening again. It's happening again on the channel. What on earth is it with Celtic here? We've beaten them twice in the league as well. We've got them next up in the cup. Pearson's going to mark Edouard. Callum Butcher's in the middle. And at half-time in extra time, we've actually come back into it. And we lead 2-1 with 15 minutes to go. It's turning into some cracker, this one. El Gaming, you're a veggie, are you? You wouldn't have liked my Christmas platter then. Carl in 6th place in the Prem with Stoke. Still in the Europa League. But no funds for Director of Football to work his magic. To be honest, your remit's to stay up, isn't it? And to be sensible in the league. So if you can go on a European run and keep your side up there, if you can get into Europe again, it's a miracle. So fair play to you. Is Gary Johnson going to take Torquay back to the Football League? It's one of the most annoying things to me, Charlie. Because obviously you remember last year's predictions. I went for Torquay to go back to back. And I went 1 year too soon. And based on them falling away, I sort of edged off them this year. And it looks like they've got a great chance. They were scintillating yesterday. The one thing I would say is they fell away last year a bit. They've got a slightly smaller squad. And don't forget the National League. You think, oh, it's the halfway point. Most teams have only played 10 to 15 games. The likes of Notts County and Sutton have got 2 games in hand. So it will be close if they win them. So I wouldn't get too excited just yet. But the signs are promising. Macca, good morning. Welcome along. Thank you for popping in. I'm just randomly starting to lose my voice. But this might make up for it. Because we've got 15 minutes to go. And we're going to have to keep an eye on this in case we need the time wasting. Which I feel we will. He won't take Torquay back. I'm not so sure. So have Everton players, exactly. It happens to everyone. It's a very partisan, fickle football world, isn't it? Everyone's their own club and can't see the rest. As Mitchell crosses, Shankland's in. Saved by Barkas. It's a free kick for offside, but that was one hell of an effort. Here is Barkas with a goal kick. If we concede at this point, we'll lose the game, even on pens. But we're in with Butcher. Celtic are throwing everyone forward. Oh, Butcher scored. He's barely had a kick for the last 2 months. He has barely got in. And somehow, it is Celtic 1, Dundee United 3. And we're going to win the Scottish League Cup. What a weekend it has been on the channel for anyone other than a Celtic fan. As Johnston picks it up on the left again. He's trying to come back into it for Celtic. Shoots from miles out. But that's pretty much hit and hope, isn't it? It's optimism. There's no real quality in that. I concede that Celtic dominated for the first 95 minutes. And we were very lucky to get to extra time. But since then, we have been by far the better side. As Shankland flicks on for Chalmers. He's got himself past Shane Duffy. He's in again. And we're now embarrassing Celtic. It is 4-1 on the rebound. Celtic 1, Dundee United 4. And it is not going to say on the history books that we got battered for 95 minutes. It is going to say Celtic 1, Dundee United 4. As we come to lift the League Cup. It's taken away my voice, but what a performance. A sensational display. A brilliant defensive backs to the wall effort after the 3rd minute concession. And then on the counter, what a team. I mean, I don't think that many Celtic fans would still be there. But Dundee United, here they go. They lift the Scottish League Cup. The first trophy since we've joined the club. And we've won it. You could not ask for more. If we can wrap up 3rd place, get into Europe and win a League Cup, that's some season, isn't it? I've got a feeling the Dundee United fans are going to quite like us now. It's always the goalkeeper doing the cartwheels. Have you noticed that in this little parade afterwards? Every save, it's always the goalkeeper doing the cartwheels. Look at the expected goals at the end. We were good value for it in extra time. It was a brilliant performance. We told our lads we're pleased. And hopefully we've done no more damage to McNulty. We didn't need him as it was. Let's catch up with the chat quickly after that. Notts County, Sutton, Altrincham or Wrexham are the ones who will go up. Maybe Stockport. I don't think Altrincham aren't that close, are they? Let's have a look. Last time I looked, Wealdstone were up there. Yeah, they're pretty much neck and neck. But Altrincham have played the full 15 games. And they're 13 points behind. So I'm not sure it'll be them. And they have had a run of easier games recently. They're doing a brilliant job, though. Bromley and Maidenhead are up there. Maidenhead, the turnaround's incredible. For me, looking at the table now, if Notts County don't win their games in hand, it's a very tough league for Torquay United to avoid it. Excuse my throat, it's not great this morning. Stockport, they've got 3 games in hand, so they could get to 29 as well. Wrexham 2 in hand, they can get to 26. But then you look at the teams in the bottom half, like a Solihull Moors, they've only played 11 games. They've got 4 games in hand, they can get to 31 points. It's so hard to tell. Like Dover on the TV yesterday, bottom of the league on 6 points, is it a disaster? Well, they've only played 9 games until then. Now they've played 10. If they win their 5 in hand, I know it's unlikely, they'll be 8th place. So, my worry for the National League, to be honest, El Gaming, is I think that for some capacity, points per game is going to be needed again. Because I don't see how every team's going to get through all the fixtures. And my problem is, that's going to be really messy. If some teams have finished their season, some haven't, what the expected points per game is when other teams are playing against stronger teams, it could be an absolute disaster. So I do worry about that. Lawrence Shankland came to the party. With McNulty injured, he was the superstar. Let's go through the press conference as we are trophy winners with Dundee United. I'm just going to see if that's done anything to my reputation as well. It was a brilliant performance, and we might have unearthed something with Logan Chalmers off the bench. Of course, a hero with Dundee in our head coach series now, but did a job there for us, didn't he? Let's go and have a look at the profile. Well, it's not done anything really, which is a bit of a shame, unless it comes a bit later. So based on the length of that, the extra time and pens, I don't know that we're going to get to all of the games. So what we'll try and do today, if we can get through the 3 games before the international break, and then we'll play Rangers and a post-split next time out on Tuesday, or maybe even play one off camera. But the other games are pretty thick and fast, and it's Celtic up next again. Thank you for everyone coming in as well. Please do chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. It does make such a difference. Not Barnett this year, Craig. No, it's not. He did make a bit of a howler on that. Nor Yeovil. He had them up there too, didn't he? Did I have them in the playoffs? I think I might have had Yeovil in there. Can't quite remember. Craig will have to tell me. He can go and look. Ebou Adams. He's someone that I'm sure, in a transfer window in January in Dundee, I'm sure they tried to sign him. Am I thinking of another save maybe? I'm not sure. But Ebou Adams is a good player. We'll keep an eye out on him. He's from the Gambia, but he's a solid midfielder and he can play in the holding role as well, which might help us in Europe next year. McNulty gets Player of the Month again in the league. A really good display from him. Goal of the Month, O'Reilly second. We're third on the manager front behind the old firm again. 2 out of contract players. We're not going to renew those. And let's get ahead to some league action, shall we? Another semi-inflated balloon, Carl, yeah? Mini balloon L Gaming. There's plenty of balloons about this weekend on the channel. They're doing a York. I wouldn't go that far. I think they'll stay up. Craig, what cup? What cup's that? Scottish League Cup? 3 gold, wow. Great spirit from the lads and well deserved. Absolutely. Once we got to extra time, we looked the fitter side. I guess we have got to be fair. I bet Celtic played on Thursday night. They did. So let's be fair there. And look, did Celtic go... Celtic went out on away goals to Arsenal. That's an incredible effort, though. So we've got to give it to them. I can see why they were struggling in extra time. Because they played on Thursday night. Forgot about Bromley. Yeah, they're doing well at the start. But again, it's so hard to tell when the teams that are sort of... you'd expect to be mid-table... they're 5th, 6th and 7th, but they play 3 or 4 games more than the teams below them. So it's so hard to tell. But it could be that those bigger teams, if they're playing 2 or 3 games potentially a week later in the season, it could be hard for them. You just don't know. Lost Cameron Doig for 44 million. Signed only 2 seasons ago from Ross County by the Director of Football. Ross are getting 30 million as a sell-on clause. So is he Cameron Doig, is he a real player or he a regen or a new gen? Let's have a look. Is that Jamie Robson? He is playing there at St Johnstone. Look at that. 3 assists in 6 games. And still a rating of 6.75. That seems harsh. So let's try Doig. I'm guessing then he's a regenerated player. Because I can't find him and I'm in Season 1. Confirm for me, Carl, if I'm being mad. No, Dover won't be 8th. We can agree on that. I think 2 of us had them to go down. I certainly did. They've made so many cost-cutting measures, but they're one of the ones worst hit by the pandemic. I mean, yesterday's game, there was a threat of it being called off because Dagenham couldn't get into Dover because of the ongoing situation down there. So, it's such a hard place for them to be. And they are, size-wise, unfortunately, I know they had some great years under Chris Kinnear, they are a National League North or South club. That sort of size. It's just an unfortunate thing when it comes to the financial muscle. We both had Yeovil in the playoffs. Yeah, I thought we did. I can't see Darren Searle lasting much longer. Is he still in the job now? I'm going to have to go and have a look. It looks like he is. But yeah, I can't see him lasting too long. Thank you for everyone coming in as well. Please do chuck a thumbs up on it. I do appreciate your support this morning. Apologies for going slightly slower than normal. I am absolutely exhausted today. But we'll get through it. We'll get through the next 2 or 3 league games. Tyrick Mitchell isn't going to play the next 2. He's got himself a little knock. Looks like the other 2 who were doubts for the last game are both going to be fit. But I don't know that I can drop Glenn Ray after that performance. Yeah, Torquay beat him 6-1. Well, I guess the one thing I'd say on our predictions is we did do them a fair few weeks before the window closed, which always makes it harder. I'm just trying to look at this 6-1 game yesterday to see what the lineups were. I mean, on paper, that's a decent team. Charlie Lee, Chris Dagnall, they've got Lawson Daft, the former Luton man. They've got Gabriel Osho on loan from Luton. Courtney Duffus up top's a good player. Carl Dickinson, the former Stoke man. Daniel Ledbetter, Emmanuel Snooper. That's a good side. Really is a good side up there. I don't know. I think they're a decent team. They've got themselves into a rut, and I think the manager will ultimately go there. I don't like managers going, but I can't see any way out. Losing 6-1 to your rivals. The return's on New Year's Day, or I presume it is anyway, and I'll be surprised if he manages that. That's just my opinion. I guess he could save himself. He's going to get midweek's game to save himself, I guess. Right, let's get through this press conference. We'll be done by 12 because we've got to do the podcast and then watch the 2 games that are on Sky One today rather than the sports channel. Right, let's catch up with the chat. O'Reilly, really. Craig, come on. Come on, son. Macca Adams was in my Coventry side when I joined them. Never really featured, eventually sold. Yeah, he doesn't quite look that standard, I'd say. But certainly for sort of League 2, League 1. And for us, he wouldn't start, but he'd be a good squad player. I'm just looking. We've got 2 games in hand on Motherwell, and we're 17 clear. There's only 7 games to go. I don't actually think we need another point to finish in 3rd place, even with the league split. So it looks like that could be quite a good outcome for us. We are playing today, I think, aren't we? But it's 2 games in 3 days, so I'm not going to put them all in the reserves. I'm keeping an eye on that Finn Malcolm still, because he became a monster in the head coach. But he's had big injuries here, and he doesn't look like making it. So let's go and sort the lineup out. We are missing Tyrick Mitchell. Cameron Doig, I'm guessing the region as he was signing 4th season at 18. Oh yeah, unfortunately so. Because people always ask me why I don't have like the fancy face packs and the logo packs and that. It's part of the reason is I know who's real and who's not in game. It's one of the biggest things because the regens don't look that human. It makes it a lot easier. Chesterfield are not doing that. Yeah, I quite like Chesterfield's old ground. We went to Saltergate on Boxing Day, ironically, 1 year ago. I think it's when we had the -30, so that would have been 08-09. But I've not been to the new ground, so until it's in the Football League, we probably won't. New manager doing bits, yeah. Jake, bit rough this morning, yeah. Yeah, it's been a long Christmas. Been not much sleep last night, but otherwise we'll be alright. So just talking a bit slower than normal. Bear with me on that, but I'm not feeling rough about the performances on the pitch. But no alcohol consumed, I must just add. And I'm sure anyone who knows me can vouch for that, because it's not my type. I don't know whether to bring Devine in or do what I did last time. I dropped Sporrell to left back, put Duffy in left midfield, or maybe even Chalmers. Probably deserves a start, doesn't he? And Celtic could be fearful if they see him. We're going to play Pearson centre-half, Smith on at right-back. Essentially go for most of the team we finished with last time. Fuchs will be on the bench. We've got 2 more spaces, haven't we? So Fuchs on and Mehmet on. I think that's it. Bolton's not had the best game, so we can bring on... Where is he? Michael Duffy. So there's the lineup. It's much changed. It's a little bit rotated. McNulty's not quite fit, but he's going to start again. Is his injury risk really high? Not hugely. So we'll give him another hour. We'll try and get him fit for Kilmarnock. It's a family-friendly channel, yeah. Look up Chesterfield and Wrexham. I'll have to do that after as well. Preston, most unpredictable team in the world right now. I don't know. There's a few in the Championship contending. I'm sure we'll talk about it today, but there's a good 4 or 5 competing for that title in my book, but we'll see. Right, we're going to close down Edouard. He was the real threat against us last time. Seems like he's playing off the right today with Griffiths up top. What I did like is us on the counter-attack with Shane Duffy at centre-half. It's sort of what happened in real life to Celtic, isn't it? They've been caught out by two slow centre-halves. In Scotland, it's not really like the Premier League and the Championship. You get a lot more of that, let's kick it and run in behind. The Scottish League is so direct. It's a really good, entertaining league and a decent standard, but it is very direct a lot of the time. And the same as the National League, the same as League 2 and League 1. They're good to watch. But I'm hoping that means we'll be able to get on top. It's been a very tight game so far. And despite not having possession, we still look good against Celtic. We've beaten them all 3 times this season. It'd be a miracle if we make it 4. Glenray gives it away though, and Turnbull can counter. Up to El Yanusi. Back to Turnbull again. Good football in there from Celtic. And Aya gets it wide. He's a player I've signed in my Crystal Palace save in the January. Well, I'm saying that before I've confirmed the deal. We're waiting on the confirmation, but it looks like a player I've signed. As Frimpong gets it to the byline. Into Edouard, that's too good. But it's blocked by Pearson. Brilliant defending. And now we've got to defend the corner, which is where we're normally weakest. Frimpong takes it, out swinger. Pearson heads away. We've dealt with that alright. Shankland picks it up, and it could be the counter again. Every time we catch them this way, Duffy's down the right. He's got a man chasing him. He's got 2 or 3 up in support, but Aya does really well. But again, we look a threat against Celtic. I plan on playing Horsfield as DM. I think I've brought in a good right back. What do you think? So that's Wrexham, is it? Don't Wrexham have a good right back already? What's his name? Hall Johnson, isn't it? Mac, I've not had a drop of alcohol since May 2019. One of the best decisions ever made. As anyone who knows me can tell you, I barely drink at all anyway. Probably the last time I had a drink properly was around then, because it was the Cricket World Cup. Hence the cup that's always on display. Okay, maybe he played right back for me in League 2 and a bit in the National League. You let him go in League 1. I always used to make that mistake of forgetting to give people contracts. I now have to set it as like a reminder for March or April in the lower leagues. Certainly in the one club stories anyway. This year, not so much of an issue. Sporrell gets it into Ray. It's nicked. I've got to be honest. I think Celtic will win this one. And that's not going to help them. It's hit the woodwork. They deserve the goal for that. Pearson clears it. And it remains 0-0. Craig, yeah, fair play. Absolutely. He's called Keown. Keown's, is it Niall Keown? Because he's Martin Keown's son. Former Reading man. If it's Niall Keown, he used to play in Scotland as well. Oh, that is an awful goal to concede. I just went to say I'll go and show you him. And that, how on earth's that gone in? That's appalling, isn't it? Let's go and see where he is here. So it should be this guy. He's at Queen's Park here. Is it this one? No, he doesn't look great, to be fair. He might be better in your game. Who else is Keown? I'm just seeing if there's any others about. Right backs. I think he's the highest one. So probably, yeah. Must be Niall Keown. Looks good enough for the National League, to be fair. Yeah, Altrincham, to be fair, they looked a good side last year. I used to love them in FM because they had a player called Damien Reeves, who was one of the best finishers in non-league. You could just put him as a poacher and he'd score 40 goals a year. Apologies for the throat again. The voice is gradually going. As I pause into Mikey Johnston, I think the winning run against Celtic's over. If you'd offered me one of the two, I of course would have said, give me the win in the cup final. But it's not great that we're losing the next one then. Paul Rutherford is so underrated. I remember that name from summer as well. Yeah, I'm a big Hall Johnson fan. Horsfield's the best right back and Hall Johnson back up. I think the problem is Hall Johnson's slightly underrated on FM. We've been absolutely battered in this half. A few of the lads are nervous. We're not really getting them fired up. So should we make some changes? Liam Smith's been poor at right back. Josh Clark on for him. Duffy right mid, but I'm going to give him a bit longer. Ray's been poor, so Fuchs on. I'm just going to rest McNulty because there's no point now. We will bring on... Let's bring on Bolton. We'll go Chalmers up front. We'll go Duffy on the left. And we'll go Bolton on the right. 3 subs made at half time. Not in real life, but on FM. Exactly, yeah. I like Hall Johnson, but not first choice at the moment. I'm keeping him. Ponticelli was superb in my Wrexham save. They've got some good younger players there. That's the good thing with the signings Wrexham have made this summer. It will take a while for them to gel, but it's a much younger squad. It's a team that can take them forward this year and next. And that's sort of the plan. So I think Dean Keats has done a good job there. As Christopher Ayers coming forward again, I think this might be a battering. This is the sort of... It's almost the opposite, isn't it? It's the storm after the calm. The calm of winning the cup final. To be fair, Celtic until that moment had only had one shot on target. It's not like it's a mauling, is it? It's just we've not really offered a threat. So let's go and make our own subs now. We're going to bring Reece Devine on. I don't think he's played for us yet. Sporrell will go back to midfield. And it says Shankland's going to lose discipline, but I don't want to take him off. So Riley or Sporrell, or one of the centre halves. I tell you what, let's take Mengi off, because he's the one we keep getting the fitness warnings about. We know this game's gone, so let's just give him a little rest. Thank you to everyone involved as well. Only one thumbs up off the double figures, so please do chuck it on if you haven't yet. Thank you for all of your support, though. It does mean a lot. And apologies for my slightly laid-back, slower approach this morning. Rutherford gets a lot of abuse from some fans, and say he's like an engine, runs up and down. Gives his all for the club and he's a nice guy. But some people think that their club has to be Barcelona and don't understand that you just need hard-working, good players in your team sometimes. Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Thomas, honestly. And Yusuf, for that matter. They're really good strikers. And Adi Yusuf was bordering on unplayable at Solihull. Craig Thomas, he was playing for the youth international teams. And they've just sort of both dried up. I know Thomas had a few injuries, but it just seems such a shame. Yusuf, it's a confidence thing. If he could just go like... Look at Benteke the other week. If you go 3-3, I reckon he'd score 20 a season again suddenly. It is a shame. As Logan Chalmers takes on the centre-half. He might skin him. He's got Shankland getting up in support, but he's brought down for the penalty. Shane Duffy brings him down. And if nothing else, Lawrence Shankland can add to his goal tally. Here he comes, right-footed. And with 15 to go, potentially, we could still have a chance. Lawrence Shankland up, and it's into the corner. Keeper went the right way. It wasn't right in the corner, but it was so powerful. 27th for the season. It's an excellent finish. 10 minutes to go. It's looking quite comfortable at the moment, to be honest. We've not really been outplayed at all. I'm going to stick positive, because hopefully we can get a goal, but it doesn't look likely. It's a corner kick to Celtic. Maybe we can counter them. Reynolds heads away. It's going straight to a Celtic body, though. It was the final chance, I feel, there. There's Thierry down the left to Laxalt. Cleared by Clark, though. Fuchs up to Shankland. Imagine if we nicked the point. Oh, it's into Chalmers. He's 1-on-1. Has to score. We've nicked another point off Celtic. They just cannot beat us. Celtic are incapable of beating our Dundee United team. Absolutely crazy. I don't understand it. I don't get how such a good side struggles against us so much. Dylan, morning, welcome along. Thank you for joining in. Do appreciate it. I did have a good Christmas. I hope you have as well. And I hope everyone's going to have a better New Year, of course, because it's not been the easiest year. That's what they say on Instagram, but they miss some sitters. Yeah, they do miss sitters at the minute. It's confidence. You got almost 400 followers. Fair play. Well done. I mean, my social media for this channel's got less than that. I just started an Instagram, obviously, but I'm not really publicising it yet because I'm not doing much with it. Once I'm able to start going back to football, I'll be able to do that. But in we go. 2-2. We've somehow nicked a point off Celtic. They are still yet to beat us this season. And I tell you what, with the head coach at Dundee and here with Dundee United, I know they're not going to want to hear it as rivals. It's fast becoming my favourite city I've ever managed in Football Manager. Because to have this success with both is incredible. Let's skip ahead then. We've got one or two more to do this morning. We have got Kilmarnock in 3 days' time. Then if we've got time, we'll get across to Aberdeen as well. And that takes us through to the March international break. We just have to hope that our boys haven't done so well that they get called up and then get injured. That's the only worry, really. They are very average on FM, yeah. Wrexham do start with a good squad. Very good defenders, but lack a good centre forward. Ponticelli has great potential, though. See, I always found I guess Breakin's the perfect example in the head coach. is if you've got a centre forward who can get in behind and you play quite direct to him, I don't think it matters what the stats are. I mean, who was the lad, James Rose, that we had at Brechin? His finishing stats were 8, I think. He scored about 30 goals. His composure was 10 or around that mark. But he was quicker than the defenders he was playing against. And if you create that many chances, you will score goals. There's a lot of, rightly so in FM, there's a lot of obsession with teams playing the right way. Or playing the tiki-taka style. And that is the trend in real life. So I completely agree with it being there. As Liam Smith's picked up an injury that's basically ended his season. We're going to need a new right back next year, I think. But yeah, because of that, it's very easy to then get in behind teams. Look at someone like Villa now, who are playing direct counter-attacks through the middle of the pitch. And they're skinning teams. Palace have done it to a few teams, despite having a very average side. It's something that can work. I've got to go with FM, even if it's unfair on the real-life players. Yeah. And that's the thing, you have to be... It's the thing I find hardest, and we talk about the Luton save this week. It's why I don't do long-term stories with the clubs I support. Because you're too attached to the players who do really well in real life. And you can't get yourself away from that as much as you try. We've been recommended to get this scout who looks very good. Let's see if we can offer him a scouting role. I'm sure there'll be someone worth sacking for him. He's happy to take 600 quid a week. And we've got ourselves through to the next game. But yeah, that's why I don't manage the clubs I support long term. I'll always do little challenges. But I think this week with Luton was probably going to put me off for life. The final one's out at midday, of course. And then we've got Bangor City at 3:30. There's a big cup final in that one as well. So it is a big day for the channel. And obviously yesterday's episode of The Head Coach was absolutely insane. Pont isn't very quick. That's a bit of a shame. Unless you can get two quick wingers and get crosses into him as a poacher. That's sort of what we've done with Shankland. Now, he's not particularly quick. So let's make changes. At right back, do you know what actually? I'm going to bring Reynolds in and I'm going to put Pearson back to right back. He's played really well there whenever he's come in. Mitchell's, it says he's fully fit. But, I don't know. It doesn't seem to have any problem with him playing. So let's bring him in. Tyrick Mitchell will come in. Sporrell's knackered at left wing. O'Reilly's tired in the middle, so Houghton will get a game. Ray's going to come back out for Fuchs, because he had a poor game at the weekend. McNulty's finally fully fit, so I'm hoping we'll get more out of him. Chalmers was excellent yet again. And on the right wing, we can't really get either of them playing, so Bolton back in as first choice. And he gives us Duffy off either side as a sub. I think that's the best we can do. 9 subs, a couple of them aren't fit, but we're doing as well as we can. So Kilmarnock v Dundee United. It's just about keeping the unbeaten run going. They've got some good players in there. Chris Burke, the former Rangers man. Yusuf Malumbu. Aaron Shabola was a good player in England a little while back. And Eamon Brophy, who almost joined us in January. If we didn't run out of budget, he would have been coming in. I'm still hoping he'll be my third big striker next year. Although that might be Logan Chalmers at this rate. You play custom Gegenpress always. I don't often use the Gegenpress, to be honest. Zeno, surely you have to admit Rangers are going to win the league. It looks likely. I have 2 slight concerns. One of our best mates is a Rangers fan, so I can share this bit. The first one is they're still going to be playing 2 games a week with Europe. And if there's isolations and games called off and things like that, it could make it a bit more difficult because Celtic will only have the 1 game most weeks. My second concern is the quality football's just starting to dry up, albeit they're still winning games like champions. I just worry a little bit that there might be a little drop. Most teams have a bad run during the season. I know occasionally in Scotland, Rangers and Celtic avoid it. And we'll have to see if that happens this year, but they're certainly favourites at this point. It's just the problem with Scottish teams is when you get to that latter stage in Europe, you have to prioritise it. Because it's worth so much money to the club. So much to the coefficient of the nation. And Rangers are sort of flying the flag for that now. So that's where the problems come. As Shanklin gets in from Luke Bolton here. He's into the box. Drags his shot wide. It's been a poor first half actually. But again, we'll take a draw. We just want to pick up the odd point to wrap up third. And we're happy. Thank you for all the extra thumbs up as well. Great to have you all in this morning. I'm really enjoying this series. It's been a great year so far. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because we're on the verge of 2,000 on the channel. When the new game came out, we just passed 1,300. And now we're only about 25 away from the big 2,000. So a massive moment for the channel. And hopefully we can get there just in time for the new year. As Luke Bolton picks it up on the middle of the pitch. Serge is past halfway. He goes down the right now, past 2. It's a brilliant run and an absolutely woeful finish. Celtic are winning their game 4-0. They're finding form. And look at that title race. 2 points in it. So actually, if we'd have let Celtic win that game, we hadn't scored the equaliser, that would have been it. That would have been level on points. So it's a slightly interesting one. As Power picks it up, his cross is blocked. Back to Bolton. And actually, our games against those two Old Firm clubs will probably decide the title. As Houghton goes to Chalmers. Those two in the Old Firm, of course. As Chalmers heads away. Long clearance is headed away to Bolton, to Shankland. Bolton again. He's kept possession despite losing the challenge, but eventually it does fall for Kilmarnock, and they bring it away. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure last time I watched Kilmarnock on the telly, they still had the worst 4G pitch you've ever seen. And here, they've got a beautiful surface. Certainly doesn't look like that. I'm pretty sure Kilmarnock was the surface that was getting the moans about all the ankle injuries. As Brophy's got himself in, that's a brilliant goal. Oh, he's offside. I'm not entirely sure he was, to be honest, but we'll take it. Jack, morning, welcome along. Appreciate that. Nice way to ease the hangover. What a game in the Dundee save. You missed a very similar moment here. We started with the Scottish League Cup final, again against Celtic. Clung on for dear life. And in an extra time ran away with it. Of course, you'll see the full replay afterwards. Hopefully that'll help cure it as well. But yeah, it's been a very good weekend against Celtic. I'm going to try and rest a few of these boys. It's only 10 minutes to go. So Glenn Ray will come off. Logan Chalmers will come off. And at the back, we will take off Matty Pearson at right back for Clark. Tyrick Mitchell's going to be replaced by Sporrell. I know Mengi's knackered, but he's not the one to take off for me. I don't know who to go for. I think McNulty again. He's just coming back to fitness. So let's get Nicky Clark on. Probably be one of his last appearances. And 0-0's not a bad result. We've wrapped up third in the league and we won a cup. I couldn't ask for more. Have you heard anything about Xbox FM21 edition? I have a feeling it's broken a bit. My whole team are getting injured every save. To be honest, there's a few of my subscribers who have talked about it before and they've all said that it was alright. So I haven't had any major issues. I'll be honest, I've still got it boxed. I haven't opened it yet. Got it on Christmas Day because obviously I'm so busy with this stuff. But I'm looking forward to playing it. I know it's a bit harder, as we've seen with Luton in the FM Touch edition, without the player interaction. But so far the feedback I've had from most people has been positive. That's all I can say. So another point there. We're now 7 games to go, 19 points clear. So one more win and we've wrapped it up. Our final game of the morning will be Aberdeen next week. And hopefully we can go into the international break with third wrapped up and a trophy in the bag. And that would be lovely. Jack, are you managing their training and rotating enough? Probably not. I mean, the only reason this has happened is because I played a lot of unfit players in the League Cup final. If that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have had this issue. We've got 10 days off now. Then it's the international break where not many of ours play. So I'm hoping we'll recover then. In fact, as there's 8 games till the next match, let's send Mengi on a week off now. So we'll send him on holiday. And where is he on this list? There he is. So he can go on holiday 1 week. And he'll be back just in time for the next game. But yeah, it was just the fixture congestion. And the fact we played 120 in the cup. And then had to play them in the league games a couple of days later. So that's all. Free goal. That goal for Dundee was awesome. It was my favourite moment on this channel so far. I've got to say that. The Xbox version only allows you to focus on training. I don't understand. Yeah, it's never going to be the full fat version because they tried that many, many years ago and it didn't really work. So I guess it's not going to be one for the FM purists. It never will be. It's going to be sort of an arcade style version, which is sort of what FM Classic is to an extent. So I think that's always how it's going to be. I'd always recommend if you want the full blood and guts and thunder is to go for the full PC version. With you likely losing McNulty, are you considering playing one up front? Well, I'm hoping, as we've nicked European football almost certainly, and we've won a trophy, that we'll be able to offer McNulty a deal. It's what wage he wants. But I think based on this season, we'll probably stick to a front two and just sign a replacement if we need to. Don't forget we might lose Shanklin in the summer as well. Let's see if we can loan McNulty. Not yet. I'm going to try the others as well, just in case. Ted and Mengi. Oh, there we go. That's a big one. Why is it saying till the next transfer window? That will end in January. Why is it not letting me offer a full year? I don't really understand that. So we'll leave it for now. Tyrick Mitchell. Let's see what it's like with him. 10%. They're not letting us offer till the end of next season. I don't understand that. The good sign is that we can keep those two, who have been crucial in our back four. But it's a little bit bizarre. Zeno, yeah, Kilmarnock have a 4G pitch. Livingston, it's awful. I should get rid of it. I can understand in some areas of Scotland why it's essential, and I can get it below the Premiership. But for me as a purist, the Premier League should be played on a proper surface. That's just my opinion. But I know it would lead to a lot of games being called off, so it's a hard one to balance. So let's set those available to the reserves. I mean, in fact, the other three can play there as well. I've just seen the Scottish Cup is the Old Firm, and then Partick v Ross County for the other place. That's brilliant. So let's set those three for 90 minutes as well. And let's see who comes out on top, Rangers or Celtic. It's going to be so tense to the title race, but look at that. Frimpong with a red card in the 13th minute. Tavernier scored the penalty and Rangers win 4-0. So Celtic not going to win any domestic cups. If they then do just lose this title to Rangers, surely Lennon's gone. Sure. But then they went really well in Europe and Rangers failed. It's bizarre. FM is like real-time management. It took me a week to sort out my staff alone. Yeah, the full fat FM is in detail, isn't it? But we wouldn't have it any other way. But that's why I like the head coach as one of my series so much, because you don't have to do any of that side. You're just playing the games and working on the tactical and training shape. And in the other game, when you're playing a one-club story or something, you're focusing so much on the off-the-pitch stuff. So Bielsa's been sacked by Leeds, and Aitor Karanka has been linked with a job. I mean, things could not be going more differently in real life. Wow, look at the bottom of the Premier League. It's so tight. Take out West Brom. Villa on 28, underrated in this game. Up to, what? There's 10 points separating them and 9th place Wolves. Arsenal are stuck in mid-table there as well. Rest of the league's running away with it, the top 5. Good to see Tottenham are actually fairly reflected since the update. But it's been an interesting start, certainly. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Great to have so many of you here this morning. We've got one more game against Aberdeen before we sign off. And then on Tuesday, we'll be back post-league split for the last 5 games of the season. I think we're going to wrap up third. And then we've got a big summer on our hands. If it was Tuesday to Sunday, I would just play the rest of the season and come back next year. But the European anticipation's going to have to wait, I'm afraid. And to be fair, if Celtic start falling away, I don't want to say it too loudly. We could start sneaking towards second. But I think that may be a little bit ambitious. So Dundee United v Aberdeen. It is the penultimate game of the regular season before the split. We're not going to comment on the World Golden Ball because we know nothing that's been happening outside our club. We're in our own little Scottish bubble here. To be fair, 9 points off Celtic now. We're never getting second. But we'll take this for a first season, certainly. So here we are, penultimate night. Celtic v Rangers in the league. Oh, this one's almost more important than our game. Aberdeen need a result against us to nick a top 6 place. It's them, St Johnstone or Hamilton. One of them will drop out. But let's see the title decider, possibly. Celtic v Rangers. If Rangers go 5 clear, you'd have to fancy him to wrap it up. They have. 3 defensive goals. Connor Goldson with a brace and James Tavernier. 5 points clear with 6 to go. One more Old Firm and they're both going to play us. But Rangers have done much better than Celtic against us, so that doesn't bode well for the Hoops. Let's get into it then. Tyrick Mitchell is fit. Not match sharp, but he's just about fit. And let's go and see what we can do. So, I'm looking at the last game. I think we played pretty well. So we can bring in a holding midfielder for Houghton. And that's going to be Matt O'Reilly, who's fit again. Fuchs was okay. He just needs to get fit. Could we take Chalmers out, perhaps? I don't know. Again, he played all right. I think that's what we're going to stick with. Mengi's back and he's fully fit after his week break. Pearson played all right at right back. We've still got Smith out, so it's him or Clark. When did Clark play? He played against Celtic and did well, off the bench. So let's bring Clark in at right back then. Reynolds has been poor, so we'll take him out for Pearson. He's not the best team in the world, but we've already done our job. We know where we need strengthening in the summer, and that's where we're going to be talking largely on Tuesday. Looking at places like right back and thinking, how can we develop this squad? We're going to be in Europe. Surely the finances are going to be better. And we've got to really prioritise. Do we go for Lone Stars? Do we go for more sort of EFL players like the Rays and the Pearsons? Or do we go for big clubs and their Lone Stars like Mitchell and Mengi? You just don't know. There might even be some free agents about. Zeno, what are your thoughts on Chelsea? They've got some good signings in. I don't think after the initial expectation they've solved the goalkeeper problem yet. I still ironically think Caballero's the most consistent keeper at the club. But I think Mendy will come good. But then Kepa's eating the wage bill, isn't he? So that's bizarre. They've got some really good players in there. Ziyech is a stunning signing. I think Giroud should get more games than he does. He's a focal point for the team and makes the rest play better. But there's no point panicking. As McNulty's in, he ends the 3-game goal drought. He doesn't go more than 3. But I don't think they're worth panicking about. The same with Arsenal before. The same with when everyone was screaming Ollie out a few weeks back when United were in a similar position. There's no point getting in a fuss about it. I feel Celtic could win something. Chelsea could win something this year, sorry. Whether it be an FA Cup, whether it be a Champions League even. I feel they could win something. I think the league's the least likely of them, sorry. That is an awful throw by Clark to give it away. Falls for Gutman at left back. Long ball forward which Pearson intercepts. Finds O'Reilly and Mitchell. Into O'Reilly. Mitchell again to Chalmers. Played really well in his recent games. And he's found a through ball there. McNulty's going to get on the end of it. It's awful defending. And he's put it just wide of the post. Not like him to miss them at all. But I think we're going to lead at half time. I'm not saying he's a great goalkeeper, Craig. I don't think he's the best. You've misunderstood me. I don't think he's the best goalkeeper of the 3. I think he's the most consistent goalkeeper of the 3. If you put the 3 in the team for the season, who will make the less direct errors leading to goals? I think it would be Caballero. I still think there are some saves that the likes of Mendy or Kepa would pull off that he wouldn't. I mean, I'm not a massive Kepa fan. I never was. But I still think that Caballero is the most consistent. I think Mendy's the best goalkeeper, and I think he will be long term. And, you know, when Petr Cech picks someone out, he's a good goalkeeper. As we're getting again, McNulty's missed another sitter. So even though he scored today and ended that drought, I'm still a bit worried about him. Yeah, I was going to say, Jack, in the squad, Petr Cech's probably the best keeper still. It might not hurt. I mean, he doesn't want to, as Cosgrove equalises. He obviously doesn't want to. It's much easier doing it at reserve level, to be fair. And let's be honest, Mendy will probably stick through it and get the chance. A lot of those teams have interesting goalkeeping situations. You can sort of see why Arsenal gave up Martinez. Because look at the conversations at United and at Chelsea. It's just a bit bizarre, isn't it? So I can kind of understand it. But for me, I can't believe Arsenal sold Martinez. He's been a revelation at Villa. He was brilliant yesterday as well. It's so commanding in the area. As Josh Clark is going to be replaced by Reynolds. We'll take out Pearson to right back. Bolton replaced by Michael Duffy. O'Reilly replaced by Houghton. Glenn Ray on for Fuchs. And I'm not taking Shankland off just yet. He's not been great. But we're going to stick with him for a few more. We might put Chalmers up front after though. I mean, we've dominated the game. They've only had one shot on target. Werner is a flop. Can't hack the physicality of the league. You can see it all the time. I disagree with that, to be honest. I think he's a good player. You've got to give some of these guys time to adapt. You can't go after 2 months that they've failed. The players coming over to the Premier League, it always takes... Look at Villa are another great example. Players like El Ghazi and that. What a player he's become. But last year, he looked like a championship player. And the year before, he looked like that. You know, you've got to give people time to adapt. We've brought Sporrell back in on the left. Chalmers will go up front for the last few minutes. But I think we're going to draw again. It's becoming a succession of them. But with Motherwell's result, we are 20 points clear with 6 games to go. And I think we've wrapped up 3rd place in the Scottish Premiership. We look invincible. I mean, we're drawing every game, but it's a big unbeaten run, so you've got to take it. Kilmarnock beat Motherwell 4-0. Aberdeen cling on to a top 6 place. Although there is one more game to go. Mengi's knackered again. We'll give him another week off because it's the international break. But if we have a look at the schedule, I mean, it is a long unbeaten run. 6 games, 3 wins and then 3 draws today. But we won that League Cup final, and that is the most important thing. Of course, we'll play Rangers off camera now and we'll go through to the league split. It's going to be a really important end to the season. So we try and prepare for the transfer window for Europe and all of that. He will improve, Werner. There is no doubt to me that Werner will succeed in England. And if he doesn't succeed at Chelsea, he'll do what Salah did. He'll go off for a year and then he'll come back to Liverpool and succeed. Because they wanted him, didn't they? They just couldn't afford him. El Ghazi's played in England for a couple of years. Exactly. And you're only just seeing the best of him now. Bruno Fernandez, it really annoyed me, genuinely, that he got man of the match yesterday. Because I know he was scintillating going forward. But he is worse in his own half than Adel Taarabt. The trying to nutmeg his own man 25 yards out and conceding a goal from it. And they just sort of glossed over it. I know you've got other opinions on what happened after, but that still for me is completely unacceptable. Craig spot on. Drogba wasn't special when he first arrived. There's so many examples. Thierry Henry took a while. I mean, his was more a positional change, wasn't it? But you're spot on. Drogba, you probably didn't see the best of him until maybe the 3rd season. Jack, he's playing left wing. He'll be a top striker. He's scrappy and has a good attitude. Yeah, agreed. More worried about Havertz, but then he was quite unwell with the virus, wasn't he? So I can completely understand why he's there. And that Chelsea team, half of it's a new team. It's going to take a while. And Ziyech didn't even get in a team for 2 months and then he looked brilliant. So, you know, the other ones were playing from the start. They're playing him on the left because they haven't got any other options on the left as such. And they've got loads of strikers in. Havertz will be fine. He's the sort of one who will take a year or 2. But he'll never be a £90 million player, some of them. And that's the problem a lot of these people have, like Pepe at Arsenal. Even if he becomes a good solid signing for 10 years, they'll go, but you spent 72 million on him. And that's the problem with the modern transfer market. You always have that. Yeah, Jack, injuries mainly. But it's not a disaster. I wouldn't be worried if I were a Chelsea fan. But I think we're going to leave it there. We have had a wonderful morning. Not in terms of the league. We've not won a league game all morning. But that 4-1 after extra time victory against Celtic in the League Cup final is a moment we are going to remember forever. And whether we get sacked later on, we have always won a trophy and got into Europe. We've done our job. And there's a big rebuild in the summer as we prepare for Europe. It's early days for the Chelsea rebuild and way too early to judge Lampard or the new signings. Agreed. Craig Pepe's a flop. Too early to tell in my book. I think there's a lot of potential there. And don't forget Cristiano Ronaldo. Took him 3 years before he was anything particularly consistent or magical. I don't think Pepe will be a flop necessarily. My opinion. It's whether Arteta's patient enough with him, which I don't think he is. I wouldn't say Zaha instead, to be honest. He's another one. He's not hugely consistent for me. That's the only problem. But I can understand why. Homegrown quotas and all of that stuff. But he would have been more money. I don't know if that would have been worth it. But that's all for this morning. Thank you very much for joining along with me. I do appreciate it. Thank you for being so active in the chat. Thank you for all the thumbs up. And thank you for supporting my first trophy with Dundee United. If you haven't yet, please do catch up yesterday's head coach. It was an unbelievable episode. The final one from Luton Town will be out in 20 minutes or so. And then we've got a big cup final with Bangor at 3:30. So please do join along. Thank you for your support as always. Craig, you're saying Ronaldo's cheaper than Pepe. But that's the current market. In this market, look at like Ansu Fati. They're talking about 100 million. That's Silva who went to Wolves for 40 million. Dembele went for 100 million. He's no better than Ronaldo was then. It's just the current market. The current market, Ronaldo would have been 70, 80 million to United. That's how it would have been. But thank you all for coming along. I do appreciate it. Inflation, of course, is a wonderful thing in football, isn't it? We get this silly transfer market and everyone gets deemed as a flop too early on. So have patience, your signings will come good. Thank you for your support. Please do check out the other content on the channel. Please do chuck a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you on Tuesday at 5:30 PM for the final episode of Season 1 here with Dundee United. Thank you for watching.